Aloha and welcome to the Solar Coaster Live Show. This is a different view than you're accustomed to. I'm here with Jason Verkart in Makwao in our home studio. We're so excited today to jump right into this discussion. We have, and it's also, well, I'm going to jump right. We have Span on the line with Mr. Chad Conway. Do you want to say aloha, Chad?
Aloha, everyone. Nice to see you.
And we have Tiffany in from Elemental Accelerator. You want to say hello, Tiffany?
Hi, everybody. Nice to be here.
And Caroline from longtime contributors and friends to the Solar Coaster at Hawaii Energy. How are you today, Caroline?
I am so well. So happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
In general.
It's great to have you all on board the Solar Coaster, and it's great to have my co-host back from Japan, who's been out of Dodge for how long now?
Finally, 2.5 years. Yeah,
2.5 years.
At some point, the world ended, and I was somewhere else when it did.
Stuck in Osaka.
Wow.
Let's not talk about that. We have better stuff to do.
And so, it's really fun to have everybody back together again and have the studio kind of configured the way we wanted to do it.
That is true.
It feels like the days of old back in the radio station. So we got a great opportunity here to talk about Span, this remarkable technology, this load control technology that it's actually a departure forward from how we've done things in the past. We've actually had our hands on this technology. We've had an opportunity to explore this tech here in my home. If I picked the camera up and brought it over to the foyer, you'd see the technology right there. So we just went through an installation process, which was really educational and kind of just a great thing to experience as solar coaster guys, because we've been talking about doing that type of stuff for a long time.
We've been talking about these smart panels, that type of technology for years and years and years, and never really had any hands-on experience. And that was always the goal, is to get, what if we could test drive all these things?
Yeah.
We get to see every day.
And boy, did I get a chance to test drive this.
Yes,
and we'll talk more about how we actually put this to work shortly. But why don't we start out with Chad and get a sense, let's do an intro and give us a sense of who you are and what your background is. And then let's talk a little bit about this amazing technology as a start.
Sure. Yeah. So I am the head of products for Span and have been with the company since the founding. We started Span after a lot of time at Tesla deploying storage batteries around the world, and realizing that the existing infrastructure within homes was just not really built to support solar and battery storage and the electrified future that we are working towards. And that existing infrastructure really centered around the electrical panel, which was developed over 70 years ago. All of your power comes in and out of that panel, whether it's from the utility or from your solar or battery into your loads. It all feeds through that main panel. And like I said, that panel has not innovated. There's no changes. It's really just a safety device. And there's so much opportunity to really monitor and control energy through that piece of infrastructure that's nascent in every single home throughout the United States and really globally. So 4 years ago, we set out to make a brand new breaker panel, and obviously first and foremost making sure that it was still safe, but completely replacing that infrastructure and being able to monitor very granularly where you're using energy, and then being able to control it and turn things on and off according to the homeowner's preferences. So we now today offer the Span panel throughout the country, and we've got thousands of units deployed, and many of those deployed in Hawaii.
Excellent. I'll tell you what, we as two guys in the renewable energy space, Chad, here in Hawaii and in Maui in particular, we were right on the tip of the spear with the movement to on-grid batteries. And so load control panels for us during that whole process became super interesting, super early.
Yeah.
And we were like, these technologies are going to be really important for, in the case of outages, in the case of dynamic load controls, in the case of dealing with all the scenarios that we're going to get a chance to chat about. But so I'm so excited because those 4 or 5 years ago, I think before maybe even Span was around, we were going, we really need something much better here.
What you were dealing with was having your main load panel and then having everything the critical loads panel, right?
Yeah.
You'd actually put in a second panel in the home,
Static.
which is a huge expense, and it's still just the same old tech. So
Right,
why would
right.
you do this thing?
Yeah, and you had to pick those loads before the batteries went in.
And then it was set in stone, wasn't it?
It was set in stone, right? And you hopefully chose the right ones, because
Like,
if there was an outage, you were stuck with those. Or you'd have to call an electrician and say, hey,
yeah.
can you reconfigure my house for more money to then get different circuits in there? So, hey, I forgot to,
You have chosen
have
poorly.
the outlet in my bedroom powered up. So now I'm plugging my phone behind the refrigerator during an outage, which is just
Right.
not what you want.
Holy moly. That's so true. And then okay, so one of the things that I will say one thing before we move on, because I want to hear about the beginnings and the relationship with Elemental Accelerator and how you were chosen to be part of the cohort and all that stuff, right? So we're going to get into that. But I will tell you this one thing. Back then, I remember the conversation with homeowners, because I was an installer at the time, right? I owned a small installation company. And we used to say there's nothing good about that conversation.
Yeah.
You get it, right? So, okay, I'm going to have backup now that I have battery. Well,
Not really.
my whole house, nah. Okay, well, you can select some, but not that many, and they got it, and it's going to cost a lot more money. It was just the not good conversation about the whole thing. But you've changed that with this awesome technology. It's not only
Totally.
is it a good conversation, it's an exciting conversation, and it's an exciting technology. You look at it, and it's beautiful, right? And I'll try not to laud the benefits too.
There's that, but I think the biggest thing is that people really don't understand their energy consumption, and this is like this is a great way to, instead of having put in weird monitors and everything else and like trying to get all these disparate little
the old
clips
spiders
and everything.
We had like these spiders you connect to every little breaker, and you leave it in for a little while, and you get data sets out of it, right? Remember that?
You would, but it was so obnoxious. And now you have, I mean, people would get a bill at the end of the month, and that would be their number. Like that's the only information they get about their energy use. Use the AC too much this month. Well, it was hot. Now you get real-time information, and you know when something is drawing a lot of energy,
100%.
or you know if something's going to fail, or all these things that you can.
It's really very, very big. So let's dial it back to the beginning, right? And let's jump right into the conversation with Elemental Accelerator and Tiffany. Now, Tiffany, I'm so glad to have you on, because we haven't had Elemental on in the past, and it was always on our radar to talk to you all. And we've followed your efforts in funding the clean tech revolution, if I can use such grand terms, and probably a lot more that I'm unaware of, but over a very long period of time. So welcome to the Solar Coaster. And why don't we get started and introduce yourself? Tell us about yourself and your organization, and then we can kind of move over to how you found SPAN.
Yeah, so happy to be here. Thank you for having Elemental on this call, and so great to be on here with friends, Chad and Caroline. We have the opportunity to work closely with both of them. And so just a little bit about Elemental. So my role at Elemental is Director of External Affairs. So I really work to, connect the dots between Elemental's mission and, our corporate community, also policy stakeholders around the state and beyond. So a bit about Elemental. We started, a little over a dozen years ago after the Hawaii Clean Energy Initiative. So we saw that, one of the ways to really be able to flip our economy off of fossil fuels would be technology. But there was a real gap in funding technology or climate technologies in Hawaii at that time, right? And as you know, climate tech is also known as tough tech or hard tech. There's just really it's a really capital intensive investment that a lot of people really shy away from because of the perceived risk there. Luckily, there's a lot more investment in this space, today, which we're very, very excited about. But 10 years ago, we were kind of some of the first that were making those investments. And not only do we support companies through funding, and our main source of funding really funnels to project deployments with the startups that we support. But we also have a number of wraparound services that, we continue to iterate on every year around our policy support with the companies, building out career pathways to diversify the industry, and also building out, our corporate partnership muscle too, because part of this transition will be supporting all of the really large companies to, really decarbonize their businesses. But at Elemental, we consider ourselves an organization that really works at that nexus of social equity and innovation. So we know that, technology is just part of the solution, but really the community is the other part. So I think that's where a solution like Span was super, super interesting to us, because really focused on, electrifying, homes, not just the commercial businesses, but, like starting at that real residential level. And we started working with Span in, I believe, 2020. So you're part of cohort 8. We're about to announce cohort 11 here in less than a month.
Wow.
But that was a crazy, crazy year, right? As we all know, the world that we soon entered into. But that year, I think there were nearly 800 applicants that applied to our program. And every year we select just 15 to 20. And Span was really attracted to us because, one, they had a rock star team with really, really great experience. The solution was so sleek. And we saw them as a solution that could really help build in the resilience that was needed for Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, there's so much in that, and it's really fun to think that that all of the work that you've done, and think of that arc of time from, did you say 12 years ago, right? So 12 years ago to imagine what it was like to be there, to help fund companies, to help do start all the work that you've matured into as an organization. I can imagine 12 years ago it was probably it was probably very difficult to get projects funded.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. One of my favorite stories is around when we first started, our CEO paused basically what we were doing after the first year, because at that point we were just doling out $1 million grants but not seeing any real scale or commercialization. And she went around the US for about 6 months to talk to anybody that would talk to her about applying the accelerator model to climate technologies, and people were like, you're crazy, like that's just not going to work. But here we are.
and on the heels of the all the recent progress in DC, so you've really had this remarkable kind of viewpoint of that decade, right? Of the whole kind of world maturing into thinking about this type of technology, and about, funding is all behind it, right? I'm seeing all
very
kinds
much ahead of the curve. So.
Yeah, that's amazing. And of course, okay, so that background is probably a couple of shows. If you'll be so kind in the future to join us, we'll be able to dig into Elemental Accelerator story in great depth. But let's understand how you selected Span. You mentioned it was a sleek design, it was a great team, and that was in 2020. What was that like, selecting them and then going through? What's it like being a cohort member? This could be Span, or this could be be Chad or Tiffany, really.
And I want to thank Elemental so much for selecting us. It is an absolute privilege to be a part of the community. I really consider Elemental to be a community of just amazing, like-minded, very, very smart, really caring folks. And I think that's something that Elemental does, and we've really experienced, is just bringing that community aspect to their work. And it's really hard as a startup. I mean, when we were going through the application process, we didn't have any installations. I think we maybe had a prototype installed in my house.
Wow.
And to have the confidence from the Elemental team and to say, hey, bring your technology to Hawaii, deploy it here, we are leading, was just such a vote of confidence that we really needed at the time, and helped us. And it also helped us accelerate our ambitions in Hawaii. We knew we always wanted to be in Hawaii, but with Elemental support, we were able to enter Hawaii as our first market and really learn a lot about our product and make changes to it so that we could deploy it faster and then holistically across the nation. So really couldn't have done it without Elemental, and the support that we get from other cohort members and other companies within it, but also with the Elemental team just being absolutely brilliant, and Tiffany's support as well. As we're going to talk about, Tiffany introduced us to Caroline and the Hawaii Energy team, and And that really even further engaged us and got enabled us to have even more impact.
That's perfect segue. So we wanted to jump over and talk, and I'm sorry for Caroline for hogging the airwaves on this one, but I'm
This is a
really
good topic. It's all
Yeah.
good.
Save the best for last.
Yeah, the best for last. So Hawaii Energy, you guys are near and dear to our hearts, right? We have, of course, we're very familiar with your previous director, Brian Kealoha, had been on the show, and then of course Walter here in Maui. Big shout out to Walter. He's been on, in the studio boatloads of times, and he would actually come on and read reports of new rebates and new incentives on like a quarterly basis, right?
Yep.
So
of course we do
Awesome.
want to hear about.
yeah. So and Hawaii Energy is a remarkable organization that we see a lot of impact on the ground here in Hawaii. So maybe you could introduce yourself, talk a little bit about Hawaii Energy and the background. We've heard it before in the Solar Crisp, but for the sake of all our audience that's tuning in for the first time, let's dig right into it.
Sure, and I think it's a perfect topic because Tiffany mentioned the Hawaii Clean Energy Initiative, and that's really the origin of our programs as well. So, my name is Caroline Carr, but I've been with the Hawaii Energy Program since actually 2011. And, we as an organization, our mission is to help families and businesses make smart energy choices. And we do that through incentives and technical trainings and engagement, workforce development, rebates for new and existing efficient technologies. But really, we're focused on, not only the installation of energy saving equipment, peak demand, load monitoring, all, these, and now much more in this energy optimization space. But we're really focused on what we can do to build out our clean energy ally base. And that is really the synthesis of this work together with SPAN and the Elemental Accelerator, because we've been working closely with Tiffany and her team for, I want to say maybe 8 years now, to get the best of who is coming through in this emerging tech space and identify how the Hawaii Energy programs can use the funding we have for rebates to really drive adoption in the most impactful ways as our grid is evolving. So it's a super exciting space to be in. And I think we've been talking with the SPAN team since 2020, when in their application period, recognizing that how important load monitoring, understanding your usages, just like you were just saying, like getting a bill at the end of the month does not do any justice to what you can change in your behavior. So we flag this as a great opportunity for collaboration early on and are super excited about the role that we can play to support with incentives and customer education. So it's been a fun ride for sure, although albeit a bit chaotic during the pandemic, but we got here.
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Chad.
No. I was just seconding that bit chaotic, but really happy to be here.
Awesome. So I would like to jump right into what people are going to be stoked about in Hawaii that are thinking, hey, I've heard of that SPAN panel. I want to get one. And I hear there's a little bit of an incentive. What's that incentive? So can we lead right to that if you don't mind? Tell us what that incentive is.
Yeah, sure. So with the Elemental Project funding and Hawaii Energy, we're able to offer a significant discount through our installation network on the SPAN panel. So it's cheaper in Hawaii than anywhere else in the country, which is really awesome. And so it's been awesome to work, like I said, with the Elemental team on this project funding, and then again with Caroline and her team at Hawaii Energy to offer a major rebate at point of sale, so that the customers see an immediate savings as they choose to adopt SPAN.
That's great. And then is that process, Caroline, is it similar to other types of rebates? Like, do you just kind of take the permit and go and apply for the rebate through online, or how does it work?
Yeah, so we have SPAN has a great group of participating contractors on the ground here, which coincidentally are also active in other areas of the Hawaii Energy Program, or perhaps not coincidentally, because they're installers of other, efficient water heating, air conditioning, whatnot. This one's a little different because we're piloting it, right? So how do we make it most optimized for customers? So this is going to be a kind of instant rebate through the contractor that is is installing it. And so essentially, it's a direct reduction of $500 off of the panel, specific to the Hawaii Energy rebate. This is, and it will be taken off of your invoice from the participating contractor, and then we handle the paperwork on the back end. So it happens in real time, and you do have to fill out an application like our programs, because we have to make sure we know where everything's going. But we're really optimistic about scaling this more broadly in the future, especially as our work at Hawaii Energy is really expanding beyond the 24/7 kilowatt hour savings to really focus targeted peak demand reduction. And that is going to remain very important in the coming years, with multiple fossil fuel plants being retired and
Right.
outages, as you are alluded to earlier.
No
So
right.
we've got a lot. Yeah, there's a lot happening.
Absolutely. Sure. Absolutely. So, okay. So one of the things that occurred to me when, so if I may, I'm going to talk a little bit about my experience with this technology, right? Sure. So, and I'll try not to be too long-winded. Just give me one of the hook, okay, Jason? If I get to, Jay knows how to hook me in. So, but I'll tell you what, watching the install was a remarkable process, right? And we had shout out to Damon and Jackson Electric and his team. They're great guys, and we've worked with them in the past on various projects. And it was really interesting to see them, remove the old panel and then reconnect all the circuits into the span panel. And then the commissioning was pretty seamless. And then right away you had some cool things kind of to look at. And it was, and then you go, wow, I got this new tech, and this new tech is interesting, but I really don't fully understand it. Like you kind of go, I know what it's there for. I know it intellectually, but I haven't felt it or worked with it. And then you start to discover its capabilities, and some of the highlights I'll just share with you, Chad, from the perspective of a first-time user and homeowner. You get that wonderful feed that gives you all this clarity of what's happening. It's kind of organic. It comes in and it says, hey, by the way, your dishwasher was 100% powered by solar today, or this or that or whatever, right? So there's this kind of flow of information, which is really interesting. But then what now, just to give some context here, I just installed a solar plus battery EV charging system, and through SolarEdge. And what I found really remarkable was the relationship between the solar plus battery system and the load control panel. And that relationship is just one of granularity. So you're able to see so much more about your loads, about your production, about your storage. So you're not just looking at your circuits and how much energy you're consuming, but now with the solar plus battery system and an EV charging system, you're able to look at production at a given moment in time. Right? You're able to look at storage at a given moment in time. You're able to then say, I'm on a self-supply system. So without geeking out too much on tariffs, I'm looking at a curve throughout the day, and I go, wow, I'm producing boatloads of energy. How do I use it? Well, let's see what my circuits are doing. Oh, great. Looks like my hot tub is could use a couple degrees. Turn on, right? Yeah. And now I know. So you get acquainted with the loads, the running loads of your dishwasher. I know exactly what my dishwasher runs at right now. I know exactly what, and I know a lot of friends would be like, why would you have to know that, Josh?
Why do you want to know that?
It is genuinely exciting. It's like this kind of symphony of of electrical devices in the house throughout the day on a certain timeline and cycle, and you can't know that without this technology. It's the bottom line.
Yeah, there's just no way to see it.
You just don't know it.
You can't fix what you can't measure.
That's right.
You can't fix what you can't measure.
You're right. There you go. Can't fix it. Yes, 100%. So just having that transparency alone was remarkable for me. And then by chance, and you guys know where I'm going with this, now you have the scenario of a power outage. And maybe Chad, if you will, you could just describe the technology from the perspective of an outage. So I know you can kind of sum it up real fast, but
Sure.
Because one of the core value propositions, right?
Absolutely, yeah. So we offer the best backup experience, and that is that resiliency piece, that ability that if there is an outage, we're able to make sure that your priorities are met. So we talked about it, alluded to it at the start of the call. You used to have to prioritize a certain set of loads, and that was done in hardware. It was wired by the electrician, and now you can actually set that in software and say, even if I'm not home or if I'm sleeping, if there's an outage, make sure that the power that's in my battery or that's being generated by my solar panels are going to the things that matter. And we've had customers that come to us and say, hey, I got an electric car and there was an outage, and then my battery just discharged into my car, and I woke up and I didn't have any power to start my day. So why did I pay for this backup battery? I don't need 10 more miles on my car. I really need to be able to turn the lights on. So Span is able to prioritize the loads that are important to you, and change those over time as the outage progresses. Even if there's a long outage, you can actually just go into our app and quickly click a button or two and reprioritize things to make sure your needs are met during the situation as they may be. So really, really important as we look forward to the future of resiliency. And that also is very important on grid as well, right? As you're starting to see, I look every day and I'm like, oh, I have more solar. I can go plug in the car, or I'm going to run the dishwasher right now because I've got tons of solar production. And really engaging the consumer, understanding what their solar is producing. Again, like what you said, whether it's going into the battery, and if you have excess, what you should be doing to make sure that you're using it most efficiently. Starting to load a laundry right then when you've got that excess solar.
Yep. My family right now is already super well trained on the notion of load everything up the night before, and then dad will press play in the middle of the day. It is. And it's awesome. Like it's quite fun. Everything is kind of like set and ready to go, and I get all the hey, don't forget to do this, and this throughout the day. So it's kind of a game for us, right? But I will tell you what an interesting experience. Just a couple of weeks ago, we had an Maui all island wide power outage, which I don't remember that ever happening before, Jay. Do you?
Not completely. There's been some significant outages, right? But that was excessive.
So
how many account holders was that?
Yeah, it was interesting the way the press covered it. It said 65,000 utility account holders on Maui are out of power.
And he looks at me and it's like, I think that's everybody.
I'm pretty sure that's everybody. So, because we got about 60,000 utility accounts here, that kind of territory. Yep. So, and there was an arc flash apparently in Maui, and then boom, power goes out. So, just to tell you the story very briefly, at 2:45 a.m. A couple of weeks ago, that happened. Right. Mm-hmm. And then from Lahaina to South Maui to upcountry Kula, I don't know how Hana had performed, Kahului, basically the island of Maui went dark. Right. Mm-hmm. And we, so I wake up kind of early, like 4 or 5-ish. And I woke up and I noticed that some things in the house were operating and some weren't. And that was an unusual scenario because this is the first power outage I've experienced.
Right? Yeah, but you're not quite awake at that time.
Yeah. And I'm kind of like, oh, what's going on? So then I go out to the kitchen and I go, the lights are still on. Right. And then I look out through down the valley, and it's just darkness. Mm-hmm. And I can see a couple of my neighbors clicking their boxes, trying to get their boxes to work again because they think it's them.
We're talking breaker boxes, yeah.
Then they're looking,
because of course Mr. Porter has lights on.
then they're looking at me like, but his house is on, and I go, oh my goodness, we're in a power outage, and it's a big one because it's all the way down to the valley. Yeah. And so I sit there and I go, well, I got some coffee. I'm not going to make more coffee because I know that's a spike because I've been looking at the Span system as I make coffee in the mornings. So I go, I'm not going to make coffee because I only keep about 15-20% reserve on the battery. Mm-hmm. And so I'm probably at the tail end of that. So I probably got an hour or so with my curtailed loads. Now I've got a sense of the actual loads that I've set. I kind of know the longevity. I kind of know the battery reserve. It was really a moment of, and I literally just sat down and was like, whoa, this is what I'm experiencing. And there was a time where I said, oh, I got to get the cameras out and do this and do that. And I just said to myself, no, just experience it. Right. And so I sat down, drank my coffee, and then ultimately the battery discharged all the way through because I had, a certain setting, and then the morning came, and then the grid was restored and everything kind of reset and it came back on. But it was just a moment of time where I said, wow, this is what this technology was designed for. And it did exactly what it promised. And I felt like a sense of real security. I was like, this is awesome, man. Yeah. So thanks for building.
So good job.
It was super cool.
Yeah, no, it's awesome that you were able to experience that and really live it as a customer and a user. That's kind of the experience that we want everyone to have is that moment of real value and really being able to see, wow, this is doing something for me. And I think hopefully over time you'll see what I've seen, living with it for a couple of years now, is luckily in Hawaii, a lot of our homes are electric, and then you kind of start asking, okay, well, what else can I do, right? And we have a feature, I call it the leaderboard, and it has the top 5 circuits, and you can look by month or year as to what's using the most power. Oftentimes that if you have an EV, it's EVs number 1.
I was going to say best or worse.
They consume quite a lot of power.
Yep.
But if past that, right, 2, 3, 4, 5, you might see refrigerator, right? And Hawaii Energy has a great rebate on Energy Star refrigerators. Or you might start to look at other appliances, whether it might be a dryer or a water heater. And again, you can go back to Hawaii Energy and get some really awesome rebates. And I've taken advantage of those myself, seeing that heat pump water heaters drop my consumption by 75%, so down to a quarter of what I was using before. And now my hot water lasts even longer. It's really awesome. An upgrade improvement that saves me money is like you can't beat that. So there's really great opportunities to go even deeper with our technology, and keep on learning. So we're really excited.
And I think to that point, I mean, of course, there's the immediate opportunity for identifying loads and efficiency, direct upgrades and whatnot. But really, we know on the horizon is advanced rate design and time of use rates and things that are coming that will really require a more active prosumer role about, what am I using? When am I using it? I love that you get your kids set up to then just press play on when all the appliances on the washing. I'm totally going to do that. But I just think, getting familiar with it's a hard thing, and it's a hard concept to understand what you're using in your house, when you're using it. And so having it be an easy interactive thing gets folks so much more prepared for the future to be able to take advantage of rates that would help them, reduce their bills or, optimize when they're using things. So that's a really exciting future opportunity.
Absolutely. There's a lot of value here. There's a lot of, we say this about the energy revolution in general. There's kind of like this kind of latent values that just spring up all over the place when you get acquainted with this technology, this and others, right? And I know there's more to talk about here, Chad, because you're looking at some very unique ways that this technology can be used to save people money. Do you want to touch a little bit on some of those things? I know you're talking about utility, reducing the need for utility upgrades in the case of solar and EVs, and you were talking about some other really cool things that hadn't even crossed my mind when we chatted about it. Do you want to touch base on some of those?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's 2 things to highlight. One is that a lot of customers across Hawaii are able to get a discounted battery right now. The battery bonus program is really, really popular. It's a really great way to add either batteries to an existing solar system or more batteries to a system. And that really helps the grid. We're trying to transition to all renewables, solar and wind. And so we need more ability to store power throughout the island. So the battery bonus is a really great program. And with that, the electric company is actually going to be running that battery for the majority of it, somewhere around 10 kilowatt hours of usage. And that leaves on some of the leading battery products about 3 kilowatt hours for the homeowner or consumer to be able to use if there is an outage in the middle of the night. And so again, SPAN can really help the homeowner maximize the value of those 3 kilowatt hours. Say there's an outage like there was in Maui at 2 a.m, we can take that 3 kilowatt hours and rather than only lasting an hour, we can actually get it to span out through, turning on the lights, getting your day started. So we're really excited about being able to be installed when customers are choosing to engage with the battery bonus program. And the other one is that as we think about electrifying more of our appliances, like I said, Hawaii, majority of homes are electric, but there's quite a few consumers that are thinking about getting an EV. And if you're starting to think about an electric vehicle, you might have to get a service upgrade, and that can take time and add more constraints to the electric grid. And SPAN allows you to really not have to worry about that service upgrade. You install span, and we can actually monitor your utility connection to ensure that your car charges when you have sufficient capacity with your connection to the utility or within the home. Some of that power might be coming from your solar and battery, some of it might be coming from the utility. And we can just kind of dynamically manage that for you and not have to worry about a service upgrade, keep the existing infrastructure and connection to the utility that you have. That helps you, that helps the utility, and as we modernize and power our islands.
That's actually a really big deal. There's a couple of EV vendors I can point to right now that are selling vehicles and chargers that will pretty much mandatorily force an upgrade. And a lot of places you either can't get it, or it's going to be so prohibitively expensive because of the existing wiring. You just can't get there from here.
Yeah. These are the kinds of things that just kind of surface that blow my mind about the new energy economy, about the renewable energy industry in general. So I know that beyond that, of course, we have RE Plus coming up in just a few weeks. For the uninitiated, RE Plus, formerly Solar Power International, is kind of the largest meeting point of the solar world, in a sense, and was in Anaheim this year. And so I know you've recently announced some new products or some add-on products, Chad, and maybe you're going to be talking about them at RE Plus and sharing some of the development timeline of that.
Sneak peeks.
Yeah, what's going on with where I'm going with this, with the EV charging technology?
Yeah, so last year we announced that we were going to be building an EV charger. It's actually going to be in customer hands at the start of the show here in just a couple of weeks. And I've already been testing mine at my house in Kailua on Oahu, but we plan to deploy a lot of those throughout the islands. And that just adds another layer onto the panel. So our EV charger is specifically designed to be installed with the span panel. The span panel monitors your utility connection and your solar performance, and then manages the charging to ensure that, like I said, you have that capacity to be able to charge your car as fast as possible. And then also we're working on features to be able to charge your car directly from excess solar. So if you've got an EV and, you're not consuming all of that solar, there's some being sent back to the grid, we can actually just match your car charging power to what's being exported so that you can get that going right into the car.
There you go.
Driving on sunshine.
That's a big one. Driving on sunshine. Driving on sunshine. Very good. Okay, well, it's been a really fun conversation. I do want to give everybody a chance to kind of wrap things up. Are there any final words, any messages to the Hawaiian, the people of Hawaii that may be considering this type of technology, or the people at RE Plus and the industry professionals that are kind of going, wow, load control panels have really come to the forefront? How about Tiffany Elemental? Anything you want to share with us as a closer?
I had lunch with Chad a couple months ago now, and he was showing me his app after he had changed over to, I think it was your dryer, the heat pump dryer, and it really is remarkable what Span can just help educate you about with your own usage. And I said earlier, you can't fix what you can't measure. And I think part of this whole clean energy transition is a lot of people just don't understand their footprint, and they don't understand their impact or how they can make that change. And I think Span is a really, really user-friendly and beautiful way to help people just get a better grasp on their energy usage. So I will leave you all with that. And it was so wonderful being here with all of you. So thanks for having us.
Very much appreciate it. We really do appreciate all you do, even though it's a lot of it behind the scenes.
yeah, it's big stuff. It's big stuff with Elemental. Stuff. And of course, Caroline, how about some final words from you from Hawaii Energy? Anything you'd like to leave us with?
Yeah, I think just echoing Tiffany's comment around, measuring and understanding. I think that this is now more than ever, we know rates are going up, especially on Oahu. This is a time when Hawaii Energy is here to support with information, education, and incentives to directly drive your ability to be a robust consumer and help. So we're here. Visit us at hawaiienergy.com and look out for even more opportunities to participate in programs as we continue to collaborate with these great partners, both Elemental and Span.
Can't wait to see what the next.
That is what I wanted you to say. Hawaii Energy. If people are interested, how do they find out more? hawaiienergy.com.
Okay, cool. And so very good, very good. So I would like to just share one little final note, if you don't mind. I remember, I think it was in 2009 in Salt Lake City when we encountered your CEO, Chad, Arch.
Yeah, 2019. Yep.
2019, right?
1909.
Did I say 9?
Yes.
Okay, 2019. So so that was
so long ago.
That was a while back. That was pre-pandemic, and it looks like maybe when pre-cohort time in Elemental.
Yeah.
And I remember meeting y'all on the show floor in Salt Lake City. Was it at Solar Power National?
That's
And I
what
think
it was.
so. And we walked up, and there was a tiny house, and there was a span system, and then we talked to Arch, and then maybe Eric, I think his name was, and it was just like, whoa, this technology has arrived, man. The load control panels are here. It's going to be a game changer. It was so great to see your arc over that time period, and how you've had some great funding success and great technology success, and a couple of iterations of the technology from Gen 1 to Gen 2, and now is it called the iDrive? Did I say it correctly?
Just Span Drive. Yeah.
Span Drive. Okay. I make names up once in a while in my head. So
Totally. Well, you're hired for marketing. You got it.
So the Span Drive system. Can't wait to see you at RE Plus, Chad. You got a great technology here, a great company, a lot of cool people, and we really appreciate you being on air with us here at Solar Coaster.
Yeah, we'll certainly dig in more.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks so much, Josh and Jason. Really appreciate it. It's been amazing to chat with you, and thank you to Tiffany and Caroline and Elemental and Hawaii Energy. Really appreciate it. Wouldn't be here without both of you and your organization. So big mahalo to both of you, and really excited for continuing to have impact in Hawaii. We want to do more and continue to help homeowners throughout the islands.
Fantastic. Okay, everybody, I think that's it. We're signing off. Aloha, folks. Thanks so much. It's been the Solar Coaster radio show, back in business together again.
Yo.
All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll tune in again soon.
Aloha.
Thank you.
Hey.
Okay, there we go. We did it.